So that's going to go, let's continue. So the ITB now is being shown. Right. Good morning and welcome to the Pre Bid Conference for ITB 01 FY21 for the renovation to the Transportation Staff Facility Project. My name is David Webb and I'm the Director of Procurement for Arlington Public Schools. During the conference, I'll be reviewing the ITB and highlighting those areas which are considered to be of interest. Also representing APS today during the conference are Robin Hodges, the APS Project Manager, and Carmine Cafiro from Stantec, the Architect of Record. It needs to be emphasized that it remains the bidder's responsibilities to be aware of its responsibilities in providing the information requested under the ITB. Following the conference, bidders have the opportunity to visit the site. Bidders interested in doing so are required to contact Robin Hodges to make arrangements. Robin's contact details can be found in the ITB. The site visit is due to start at 12:30 this afternoon, and more information is provided in the ITB and will be addressed later during the conference. Questions are welcome during the conference and will need to be submitted in writing through the Q&A capability. Questions will be addressed at the end of the conference. So, invitation to bid, reference number is 01 FY21, and that reference number should be included on any communication or correspondence between yourselves and APS. The closing date time is August the 18th, no later than 11:59 p.m. The bid opening is August the 19th at 10 a.m. Due to COVID, the Arlington Public Schools is closed, so therefore sealed bids will only be received electronically through a secure cloud-based file sharing platform. Bids shall not be received at the SciFax Education Centre or by mail, express mail, in person or by courier. Bidders wishing to submit a bid in response to the ITB are required to upload the mandatory requirements found in the instructions to bidders into the platform through the link found on the current solicitations page, which can be located by accessing the Arlington Public Schools Procurement Office website. A link to the web page is also provided below. For a bid to be considered for award of a contract, the bid must be received in the platform by no later than 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 18th. Bidders are strongly encouraged to submit their bids well in advance of the bid closing time to allow sufficient time for the bids to be uploaded into the platform before it closes. Once it closes, bids will not be received. Just to emphasize the fact again that the bids will not be opened and announced in the SciFax Education Centre, but will be done so remotely at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, August the 19th, using Microsoft Teams. Anyone wishing to view the bid opening can also find a link to the Microsoft Teams invite under the bids due column of the current solicitations table on the Procurement Office website. It will be marked linked to bid opening ITB 01 FY21. Please note that the link requires attendees to use Microsoft Teams application or the Google Chrome browser in order to view the bid opening. For any further information, my contact information is provided. The bid documents, drawings and specifications for the project are available electronically as a PDF file format on the owner's representative Stantec's FTP site. Login and password information for the FTP site will be emailed to all interested general contractors upon request. Please contact Carmine with the email shown in the ITB here. Pre-bid conference, we're here now. Link to the conference is there also. Bidders' questions. If there's any questions outside of today, they can be emailed to myself, to Robin, and to Carmine. using the email information addresses shown herein. Any changes made to the ITB must be done so through an addendum issued by Arlington Public Schools. Addenda will be posted on the APS Procurement Office website and on EVA, and is the responsibility of each bidder to access this information. And a link to submit the bid is provided here. Again, just to emphasize the bid closing and opening, the bid closing is Tuesday, August the 18th, no later than 11:59 p.m. The bid opening will be held remotely on Wednesday, August the 19th at 10 a.m. Project description and background, and I'll pass you now over to Robin.
Good morning, this is Robin Hodges with Arlington Public Schools, the project manager for the project. So briefly, we want to go over the project description and background. We're going to be renovating a warehouse project, a warehouse, and making it into additional office space for our transportation staff folks. There's an existing portion of the building that you can see there's minor renovations that happen in phase 2. But the biggest portion of phase 1 is in the back of the warehouse that has already been demoed. And those of you that come for the site, you'll see that, and it's also kind of shown in the drawings because it's completely cleared out. I'm briefly going to go over. I'll hand this over to Carmine, the architect, briefly, and he'll go over the scope really briefly for you. Go ahead, Carmine.
It is Robin. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to sit in with us on the Pre Bid Conference today. My name is Carmine Cafiro. I'm an architect with Stantec, and I'll be overseeing the bidding assistance and construction administration for this project. As Robin noted, this project is to provide more lounge and training space for APS transportation staff. It is currently, it's planned to be located in the existing warehouse portion of the APS transportation building. The scope of the work includes a new kitchen that includes a commercial hood, a series of offices, a training room, a fitness room, new group restrooms and individual restrooms and showers, a conference room, and storage. There is some exterior site work, including ramps and stairs, that is set to occur in phase 1, as well as in the add alternate phase 2. That work includes a slope floor and raised slab to get to the entry of phase 1 at the rear of the building, and a ramp and stair condition with an entry vestibule at the front of the building that connects the existing APS transportation office suite to the new work. There is some light structural modifications that will be required to support new RTUs that will go on the roof, and new openings that will occur in existing masonry walls. There is electrical scope and a data scope that will be required to be connected to existing services, and the same goes for plumbing services connected to existing sanitary lines and existing sewer lines. I believe that covers the majority of the scope of the work. Robin, is there anything in particular that you would like me to go into a little bit more detail?
No, not at this time. I believe, like I said, the majority of that we can answer any other questions during Q&A, and will probably be covered in detail during the site walk. But thank you, Carmine.
Okay.
With this bid, there is a bid alternate, an add. The hope is that the budget provided will be sufficient to cover the cost of the base bid and the bid alternate. And then the apparent low bid and the apparent low bidder shall be the lowest responsive bid from a responsible and qualified bidder based upon the aggregate of the total base bid and all bid alternates as set forth in the bid form. That's the end of the invitation, instructions to bidders. And again, I emphasize that it is the bidder's responsibility to familiarize themselves with the contents of these documents. Scrolling through. Required with the bid is a bid bond in the amount of 5% of the amount of the bid as a guarantee. The successful bidder, who becomes the contractor, will then be required to provide both performance and payment bonds. Those bonds are not required with the bid. As explained before, the award, we're hoping to make the award based upon the base bid and the add alternate. Actually, I just want to go back and point out that with the withdrawal of the bid, if anybody submits a bid and then wants to withdraw the bid, they have to email to me the request in writing prior to the closing date. Examination of site. As it's been mentioned, there is going to be a site visit. The first site visit is at 12:30 this afternoon. We are restricting the number of bidders who can attend to 9. I believe we have a party of 9 at 12:30, and we have additional bidders for a visit at 1 o'clock. Anybody who's interested in participating in the 1 o'clock visit, they need to reach out to Robin. Her contact information is provided here. Here's the email address, and also her phone number is here as well. Okay. We ask that bidders meet outside of the loading dock from door 1 and do not enter the building until Robin is present. Okay. Okay, there are an Appendix A to the bid form, and that addresses the minimum qualifications of bidders. We ask that you read the information that's required and provide it. Okay, this is going to help determine who's deemed to be the responsive and responsible lowest bidder. Mandatory requirements. With your bid, we have Class 1 mandatory requirements which must accompany your bid. And that includes the Virginia Class A contractor's license number and the expiration date, the required bid security as 5% of the bid amount, the completed bid form and the Appendix A to the bid form. If the bidder is a joint venture, a copy of the written joint venture agreement, and if the bidder is a partnership, a copy of the written partnership agreement. Those are Class 1 and must accompany the bid. The following are Class 2 and are also required by APS, but don't necessarily have to be submitted with the bid. They do have to be provided afterwards. And the Class 2 requirements is a list of subcontractors for the major divisions and all features of work in compliance with the requirements of item 17 of the bid form. Pricing breakdown for total base bid in compliance with the requirements of item 13 of the bid form, and an insurance accord demonstrating it meets the insurance coverage specified in Part 13 of the General Terms and Conditions. So those are Class 2 items. They are required, but they do not have to accompany the bid. If a Class 2 item is not provided, then the bidder is required to provide that information within 5 p.m. on the 5th business day after receiving notice to provide it by APS. Bidders are also required, or the contractor is required, to provide a criminal certification. And during the performance of the contract, the contractor is required to ensure that its staff, subcontractors, follow the guidelines for COVID-19. Some information here, and also there's some guidance offered by APS as well. The bid form. So the bidder will complete its name in here. It will then ensure that it provides its Class 1 mandatory requirements with its bid, providing this information here, as previously mentioned. With the Class 2, it can check this box here to say it's attached to the bid, or check this box here to say it will be provided at a later date. Still needs to be provided, but either it can come with the bid or at a later time. This is where the contractor will complete the information about its license. And here, any addenda issued, the bidder will check to confirm, or can send in with its bid a copy of the addendum. Bid item number 1 is a base bid. We'll provide that in writing and in figures. The budget will be announced prior to the bids being opened. Bid is required to provide a breakdown of the divisions to show how they arrived at the base bid. If it's not included in the bid, then it needs to be provided by no later than 4 p.m. the next business day following the bid opening. Bid alternate. There is one alternate. It's for phase 2 and phase 2.1. Robin, is there anything you want to address on that? Or
just so if you guys are if anybody's a little bit unclear about the phase 2 and phase 2.1, the reason it's phased that way is simply because of an egress door. So that's why there's like a 2 and a 2.1, and the staging of that and the sequencing of that phasing is outlined in the contract drawings. So if anybody has further questions on that, feel free to ask them, but that's what that clarification is there. So just wanted to make sure everyone was understanding it's not separating phases. That's the only reason it's there.
Thank you, Robin.
Robin, may I also jump in real quickly?
Yeah, go ahead, Carmine.
It was noted that there were some initial questions about the size of the project, and I apologize for not mentioning it before. The size of the project is a 10,000 square foot overall renovation with a 170 square foot addition for the entry vestibule on the front side of the building.
Okay, thank you, Carmine.
So as previously mentioned, it is anticipated, or it's hoped, that APS can have a bid that is within budget, that provides for both the base bid and the bid alternate number 1. If that's not possible, then we'll be looking to the lowest total base bid. And if that's not possible, then APS has the ability to negotiate to a contract sum that is within available funds in the manner provided in the invitation to bid. It's emphasized that the bidders, when they complete the bid form, they provide all the information that is asked of them. The list of subcontractors has a Class 2 mandatory requirement. The bidders may elect to submit this identified information, division or featured subcontractor information as provided in paragraph 18.3 of the instructions. So here is the subcontractor work, and then we're asking for the name and the license number and the expiration date. And that is the end of the bid form. So as I emphasize again, it's the bidder's responsibility to read through the information and provide all information that's asked of them. Appendix A to the bid form is the bidder's qualification. We're asking the bidders to confirm they have the experience that we're looking for by checking the appropriate boxes. And then we're looking for confirmation of performance on relevant projects. And then for each project listed, we're asking for specific information. Again, please provide the information that's been asked. And then we're asked for specific experience of the key personnel for the project superintendent. And again, please ensure that you provide that information. And we also want a copy of the project superintendent's resume. And that is the end of Appendix A to the bid form. Next is the agreement between the owner and contractor. So this will be awarded and signed by the successful bidder. Now the contract period, is there anything you wanted to mention here, Robin?
I just wanted to emphasize, just in case it wasn't clear, if you note on September 25th, it says that's the anticipated notice to proceed for project administrative contract deliverables for phase 1 and potentially phase 2 and 2.1. Just wanted to point out again, the reason that is that it's if the alternate does not get accepted, if it's over budget, then that's why it says potentially. So I just wanted to clarify that for any kind of questions. I think the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory.
Just to highlight, there are liquidated damages with the project. And the amounts are identified here. 2,000 for substantial completion and 500 for final completion. And that is the end of the agreement between the owner and contractor. Next is the standard bid form that bidders will complete and submit with their bid. Next is the standard labor and material payment bond that the successful bidder will be required to complete. The standard performance bond. The general conditions. There's nothing highlighted here, but these are the conditions that will be attached to the contract. Again, it's up to the bidders to make sure they are familiar with the contents of the ITB. I'm just moving through quickly. The criminal conviction certification, which the bidders will need to submit and the contractor will need to sign. Okay, that's the end of the general conditions. And just to help bidders submit bids, we've provided here screenshots of the steps required to submit a bid. This here is a fictitious requirement, but if you go to the Procurement Office website, you'll find under current solicitations ITB 01 FY21, and then the link is shown here. And then you will then click on that link, and then you'll be asked then to provide this information here. And we ask that you do provide all the information. It says company name optional, but we ask you to put it in there for our records and provide an email address as well. And you continue. And then you'll be asked then here's an example of one we just created. So this one was submitted by Buzz Lightyear. Here's the email address. That's the company name. Then we continue. And then you'll be asked to drag the files or drop the files that you wish to submit. So those files that are deemed to be the mandatory requirements, you will then provide here. All right. What I would ask is when you do it, you make sure that the files are uploaded upright, to save us then having to kind of go in and change the direction of the files. Okay, so here's just the guidelines. Send these files, and then you get notification that the files have been sent, but instead of my colleague's name, my name will appear on that. And finally, some information provided by Arlington Public Schools on how it expects its contractors to operate during COVID-19. So instructions here as well. And that concludes the review of the ITB. Right, let's have a look. All right, one question received, and the question is, can you please tell us the overall available funding for this project? Unfortunately, we do not provide that information. This information will be provided shortly before the bids are opened in the pre-bid, in the bid opening conference. Okay, so the answer to the question is no, we do not provide information on the funding of the project. Okay. Are there any further questions?
We were unclear. Looks like somebody else typed a question. That's an email. Never mind.
Oh. Sorry. Is anyone here? Okay, another question. And the question is, what is pre-engineered value? What is pre-engineered value?
What it sounds like you're saying is the value engineering process. So that's when I hear engineer and value backwards, I believe you're asking value engineering. We'll review the ITB to find that exact phrase later, but I'm almost certain that what you're actually trying to say there is value engineering. And what that is that if the bids come in, say phase one, the base bid comes in and it's even over budget, there is an opportunity there to negotiate, and we can potentially VE some scope out of the project to get it to meet our budget.
Thank you, Robin. And if our understanding of the question is not accurate, then please send an email in to the attention of myself, Robin, and Carmine, and then we can address that separately. Okay. Oh, some more questions coming through now. Oh, this one. Okay. This one, Ben. All right. Are there any more questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, then anybody who can think of anything after can send them through via email, as per outlined in the ITB. The site visit also provides an opportunity to ask questions then. The first visit is due to start at 12:30. The second one should start at 1 o'clock.
We still have slots open for the 1 o'clock.
And there's still slots open for 1 o'clock. So if anybody's interested in attending the 1 o'clock, then there's still an opportunity. Please reach out to Robin to make the necessary arrangements. Oh, another question, I think. All right. Another question is, could you provide a list of bidders? Following this conference, pre-bid conference, I will be downloading the information on attendees. Now, it depends upon whether individuals actually provided information on their email. I can share that through an information item. And also those people, those bidders who attended the site visit will be required to sign in, and we can share that information also. Another question. For bonding purposes, do you expect the value to be greater than $1 million? For bonding purposes, do you expect the value to be greater than 1 million? Okay, I think the possibility of being 1 million, we think is possible. Obviously, as we mentioned before, we're not going to divulge what our budget is. We leave it to you, the bidders, to put forward your best price for us. Thank you. Another question. Okay. Any more questions, anybody? All right, well, I'd like to thank you very much for your interest in this requirement. And for those people who will be attending the site visits, again, we'd just like to thank you again for your interest. Addenda will be issued through the Arlington Public website on the Procurement Office and also through EVA. We do not send out emails directly to bidders. So please, pay attention to those sites. And thank you very, very much for your interest in this requirement. Thank you.